never think you can handle an immigration case on your own. I would never, as an attorney, say, go out there and do it yourself.
Welcome back to Soul Talk, a place where powerful, life-transforming topics are discussed. It's a place where conversations that are inspiring and are shared to help you build a truly full life. I am your host, Wura Grant. Again, do not forget to subscribe to our channel by clicking on the subscription button, and don't miss another show by just clicking on the notification bell. Today, I am so excited to be able to speak to a woman I revere so much. She has been a great example to me, and she does not know this, but I have watched her from a distance for years. And so from a young age, attorney Adebimpe Jafojo was graced with the desire to help others, serve others, and bring out the best. She graduated from high school at a very young age of 16 years old, and then graduated in 2.5 years from Bowie State University. Shortly after receiving her Bachelor of Science degree, attorney Jafojo moved to Florida to attend the University of Florida School of Law, where she received her Juris Doctorate degree. Thereafter, she founded the law office of Adebimpe Jafojo, and she has been practicing for over 24 years in Metro Atlanta. She practices mostly in the area of immigration and personal injury, and in her spare time, she loves to travel and spend time with her 3 lovely children. Welcome to Soul Talk.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for honoring the invitation. Thank you for saying yes. You know, it's such an honor when someone that I call you my distant mentor. I didn't ask, I just made you my mentor. And so I really thank you for saying yes and just coming to share your wisdom with us today on Soul Talk.
It's a pleasure. And most of all, I love to assist and help others. I'm a mentor to many, and I do not take that for granted.
Wow, that is so wonderful. Thank you so much. So I always like to start with something light, either the last song you heard or the last book you read. Can you share that with us?
As far as the last book I read, most of my days, weeks, months, years, these days are reading law or something. I'll read about what. So I'm not sure that that's going to be interesting to many. I wish I could say that I just, read this book or that, but I really don't have that much time these days other than my Bible, which is the book I do read every day. But as far as music, I love to listen to gospel music. I listen to some of your selections. Yes. And so it's always in the background, either in my bedroom, at my office, or just driving here. Like when I drove here, it was playing in the background.
So what was the inspiration that made you decide to become an attorney? I know there's a whole backstory, but just in a few minutes, can you just share with us, what was your inspiration? What inspired you?
Well, for me, I thank God for my parents. My father, especially at a young age, my siblings and I always had to choose a profession. So we had to tell him, at least by the age of 2, what we wanted to do and what we were going to do with our life. Culture, it's a different, I'm originally from Nigeria, and so the cultural differences are there. However, you had to state it, whether you actually followed that path or not, you had to let him know, and he would try his best to guide you along that path. And I told him I wanted to be a lawyer at the age of 2. And
wow.
Yes, and voila, here we are today. I stuck to it. I told him I wanted to be an international law. I wanted to practice in Hague, and that was what my intentions were at that young age. But because of cultural differences back then, and because I'm a woman, he said he didn't want me traveling because I would have to take care of children and da-da-da. And he definitely didn't want me to go to Hague. But I still ended up being practicing in the immigration area. And that's what I love. It's my passion. I love to serve. I love to help. And here I am.
And you know, one thing I've realized about you is you just leave an impact wherever you are. We've worked together on, there was a conference, the Love Conference that we've worked, and I just see your patience, your passion to serve others. So you're not just saying it that you love helping people because, it sounds good, but I have seen you in action when people are watching and when people are not watching.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
God bless you for that. So now, you are focused more on immigration law right now, right?
80% of my practice, I'll say, is immigration, yes.
What would you say is one of the most, interesting things? I know reading law books, right? But what are the most passionate things about that piece, is what inspires you to keep going every day, even when it gets difficult?
For me, I'm a Christian, I'll tell you that. But over the years, God has shown me, even when I see something and I'm like, there's just absolutely no way this is going to happen. And a client comes into my office and says, well, this is how, I wouldn't do anything illegal. If I don't think it's legal, it's not going to happen. But I have this special client that I would never forget. This was about 3 years ago. And it was almost as if he solidified my foundation. He came into my office, and back then I told him this particular case cannot be approved for at least a year. And I know I think it was in August when he came into my office. We filed his application. He told me, just file it. I know that it's going to be approved before Christmas. And I looked at him and I'm like, there's just no way. I showed him, I know. He was a Christian and still is. But he came in and said, before Christmas Day, I will get my approval. And I said, as an attorney, I'm sure it's not possible. But as a Christian, I'll stand in agreement with you. And we actually prayed. And he went on about his business, and I did what I was supposed to do. Christmas Eve, I kid you not, I got his approval in the mail. And that just told me, that was my way. I said God was showing me that, yes, I would definitely do everything I'm supposed to do, but I won't lean onto my own understanding. In all applications, I do surrender to God. And somewhere, I believe that everyone on this earth has to believe in something. I praise God.
So what are those things that the core things that as an immigration lawyer, you want your clients to think about, right? So when they come to you, so they're, even sometimes people are frazzled. There are so many different kinds of immigration cases. But what are those main items that you want them to be prepared for when they come to your law office to just?
I would say to anyone, if you know when you have an issue or you have a problem, don't try to solve it yourself. Don't think you don't need an immigration attorney, or don't think, especially as immigrants, a lot of us are, and I say us because I am an immigrant myself. I was not born here in the United States, but thank God today I am a US citizen. But individuals tend to believe that they can handle things themselves. We're here to help. I won't say that everyone. I know we have a lot of individuals that have been disappointed and will say, I will never go back to an attorney again. But not all lawyers are that way. Try to find a reputable one. For me, I would say if the person is a member of the American Immigration Lawyers Association, that's always a great start. Hopefully they'll come to me if they need me, but I would say don't try to fill out an application yourself. When you submit an application to immigration, 9 times out of 10, you will fill out a form, or there will be a letter, and they're going to ask for your name, address. Every question that is asked, there's a reason. Don't just assume, well, it's just my name. There are individuals that came into the country with a different name, or they came into the country when they were married and now they're not married. And you don't want to create an inference of misrepresentation or fraud with immigration. So how you answer each and every question is definitely important. And that's why it's important that you get an expert. Individuals from Nigeria, for example, on their birth certificate, some have about 10 names. So when you got your passport, you may have only used the 3 names at the end of your birth certificate.
Wow.
And then you submit an application to immigration. And of course, now you know your first few names, you put that on the application. And then you have to submit documents, your degree, or maybe your birth certificate later on, or a document from high school, and it just doesn't add up. And guess what? There will be an inference of fraud or misrepresentation. So a case that was supposed to be approved speedily could, one, be denied, or you spend years trying to fix the problem. And so those type of issues an attorney can spot, and I would say get right to it. Get an attorney, get a reputable individual. Don't try to save money or say, well, it's too expensive. Nothing is cheap. We pay rent or mortgage or own a home.
And then to have this extra piece of the forms.
Exactly. So you just have to do it the right way. And I would always recommend that you get an attorney to help or assist with,
So, we had some questions that we actually had people turn in before you came. So I hope none of them come to us because you've done this for so many years. With the whole political climate the last 5 years, there's just been so much upheaval, with the H1B visa situation and with, DACA, right? And so, as an immigration attorney, what advice will you give to people who are just in this, they've been in this emotional roller coaster, right?
You mentioned DACA, you mentioned H1B. There's so many different types of visas. I want to let you know that. I really can't go into the specifics of each visa right now. I do know that some people believe that H1B visas are no more a thing, but that's not true. H1Bs are out there. I always tell H1B actually, it's, you get a specialty occupation. For one, a specialty occupation can get a work visa. But if you are out of status, you may not be eligible for such a visa. But it enables you to get a work visa where you can work for a company actually sponsors you, and you can work for that company on that type of visa. It's changed over the years though. So now there's an electronic system where you have to submit your, how to submit your application is totally different from how it used to be. So it's not that it's no more there, it is there. And I always tell clients, don't wait till that year when you want to submit. And it used to be April, but now it has to be submitted much earlier. And then therefore I say, hey, make sure by August, September, you're contacting an attorney the year before. Make sure then that way an attorney can put you in the right path. Make sure we have everything. You have to go through a registration process, not the individual, but the employer. Employers, it takes time. Sometimes they're busy and they don't have time. And there's so many steps that you have to go through. If it's not done within that 2-week time period where it has to be done, you may not be able to submit another year that year, and you have to wait another year.
All I'm hearing is just process and time and patience and detail. And so I think, while it seems like a lot, it's so important. I think if I had to go through any of these processes, I would hire someone to do it, which kind of leads me to my next question. When people are trying to make that decision of lawyer or no lawyer, because, of course, I'm not saying you, but y'all are expensive.
People tend to say that we are expensive.
And so I guess, how do they make those decisions? When can I say, okay, I think I can handle this on my own? Or how do you know when to make that decision?
I think it's for any individual, never think you can handle an immigration case on your own. I would never, as an attorney, say, go out there and do it yourself. I would always recommend that you get a consultation. After the consultation with the attorney, based on the recommendations, then you act. Okay, like I said before, you just never know. Some people, I've had clients come into my office that want to file an application for a green card, which is to be a lawful permanent resident in the United States. But guess what? They're already citizens and never knew it. That does happen, depending on where you were born, how, and whom you were born to, So you need to make sure you double check and triple check. Exactly. And you always have to go far back as possible. Okay? And some may not have that paper trail. And that's what we are here for, to try to encourage them, show them, well, go here, go there. This may help you. And so don't try to make that decision on your own. Never do that. Even if you've been burnt. Sometimes it helps if you know someone that has used that attorney and then you want to use that person. Or their reviews these days. Sometimes people go out there and write reviews that are not true or inaccurate about individuals. But at the same time, you can go out there, talk to a few people, and see what else. And I guess they can contact you if they're watching this show. And hopefully you will be able to recommend.
Absolutely. So what I'm hearing too is there are a lot of landmines that they have to be careful, right? And you have to know, that's something that for years of doing this, you kind of know where those landmines are and can give them advice. So we have a couple of questions, like I said, that were submitted. One that came in was, I am an alien in the United States, but not married to a United States citizen. Can I become a permanent green card holder in the United States?
A lot of people always feel like, well, I have to be married to a U.S. citizen to become a lawful permanent resident and then a U.S. citizen, hopefully. But no, that's not the only way. But it depends on the individual. So this has to be taken on a case-by-case basis. For example, this particular individual, are they currently in status? Are they out of status? If they're in status, would they be eligible for an H1B that we talked about? And there's so many actually other visas that a lot of people don't even know about. Like the O's, a lot of people don't know about the O's. They're open, they're out there. They're for permanent residencies. We have EB1s, EB2s for exceptional people with exceptional abilities, extraordinary abilities. There are different categories. There are EB-5s where you can invest. And a lot of people are totally unaware of these categories. And so it's always better to seek consults. But to answer that question, no, you don't have to be married to a U.S. citizen. I'm not sure this particular individual's situation or background, but I need them to know that, yes, there are other ways.
There are other options.
Now, some may have to file that application, get it approved, and then go out of the country and then come back in. A lot of people don't want to do that, but there are ways. But because of COVID-19, the pandemic is ongoing, and it's caused a backlog, and therefore, things are not moving as fast as they were. Not that they were moving totally fast before, but the pandemic has actually made it worse. Yeah. And so a lot of people are very cautious as to whether they want to go out of the country. Mm-hmm. And so, but marrying a U.S. citizen is not the only way, and I would never recommend that you just marry to get a visa. I need to put that on record, but that's not what I'm saying. If you're truly in love and you fall in love and you're married legally, then that's fine. But do not do it just for getting a permanent
resident. Yeah. And so, what advice would you give someone who is trying to kind of start, like you said, the investing thing? You're trying to start a business, and you're not here. You're probably here visiting. Are there kind of specific laws that have to be followed in terms of starting a business in the United States, but you're not a citizen, or
Okay. If you are visiting and you're here legally, and you get here, because when you come into the United States, you cannot have what's called a dual intent. So you couldn't have crossed the border, told them you were coming to visit, where you really intended to come in and just start working on your papers. That could cause a problem down the line. So that's another issue, and of course we'll have to deal with that individual. But I want you to know there's, like I said, there's an O visa, exceptional ability. Some people don't want to spend millions of dollars to invest in a business to get a lawful permanent resident card. There are other things. If you are an alien, well, I say alien, but one of our bills that are being proposed is to change the name from alien to a non-citizen, yes, which I prefer, a non-citizen. So if you're a non-citizen, you come in, you can, with an exceptional or extraordinary ability, you can actually, in some cases, self-petition, where you can become a green card holder without having anyone sponsor you. It depends on your age, in that case, your background, what you've achieved over the years. And also, I always tell my clients, make sure there are no criminal issues involved. Right. So we always ask that in my office. We want to know what you've done, where you've been, and I always say
you can discover this stuff. You mean people, they pay attention to that, even if you were not charged?
Well, some people were put in the back of a police car and didn't realize that they were charged. Some people may have been taken to the police station and not realize that, oh, they did fingerprint me, but they said it was nothing. They said I can go, oh, it was nothing. But then you do a request and do a background check and find out, oh yeah, there was a charge and it's still open. And some may even still have a warrant for their arrest out there and not even be aware of it.
Oh my.
So there's so many issues so if I detect in my office that it may be an issue, I send you straight for a background check. That I'm not even going, and I know they'll say, oh, it's not necessary, but for me, it is necessary. I wouldn't want anything bad to happen to my clients. I want you to come back, and so that way you do
that's part of the value add that you bring.
Exactly, so make sure that each case is handled thoroughly. Okay. And I always tell my clients, I zealously represent my clients. That's my goal, that's my intent. That's why I ask so many questions. So I'm not just being nosy.
No, that's your job, right? So what if, you're in the country, life happens, you become out of status, right? So you're here now, but you want to get it right. You want to do the right thing. I've heard, you have to leave the country and then apply, and it could take years. Like you said in the beginning, there are options and there are ways to rectify. Are there ways to rectify? Like if you don't want to go back, but you want to rectify?
In some cases, yes. And some you may have to. And that's why I said it's on a case-by-case basis. And so it would depend on that individual. I can give you a scenario. Let's say that person came in on a visitor's visa, and I'll use your previous question as an example. Yeah. Came in on a visitor's visa, and then got married to a United States citizen. Okay,
Got it.
and so she came in on a visa, did not come in iwi, entry without inspection, didn't swim in, didn't just come to the border and snuck in, and yes, exactly, without coming in legally. And then that person should be able, and I say should, be able to have his USC spouse submit an application, and then you can get that green card.
Wow. So there's so much nuggets. I mean, I know the amount of time we have. It's just not enough.
We do not have the time to cover that, because that individual could have had some criminal issues.
Correct.
And then that would be another aspect of the case that we'll have to deal with.
So literally, because I'm an engineer, the way I think is I see the problem, but the way I'm looking at your profession, there are so many legs. It's like an octopus. How do you keep track of everything?
And each leg has to be dissected. Okay, so you can't say, well, there's those three over there are not necessary. No, you don't really know till you dissect it. So you ask the question, and you just have to be thorough.
Thorough,
Yes.
Wow, this has been so informational. I wish we had so much more time. But I know there are a lot of people who have either questions or they want to get your services. So how can they contact you and just be in touch with you?
A telephone number, which is my office number, is 770-978-8800. That's I am on Instagram at Jafojo, AJA, F as in Frank, OJO.
And we'll have it listed on the screen.
Okay, and so that's another option, the website, which you said you will list on the screen. The easiest way is always a telephone. You can give me a call, leave a message. They may not always be able to reach me, but leave a message. I always tell people within 24 hours, I will get back with you. Yeah.
So in the beginning of the interview, you mentioned that your faith is it's your foundation, right, of everything that you do. So can you share anything with anyone that's currently, going through an immigration issue? Because I have heard this immigration matter for people. It's heart-wrenching because it's like, you've fallen in love with a place that's not your birthplace, and you're just going through this process. So any encouraging words for anyone going through an immigration process or about to?
I always would like to say faith, if you're a Christian. In my case, I am a Christian. Then you have to trust God. And through Christ, all things are possible. The best way is to make sure first of all, you accept that you have a problem. Okay, even an alcoholic. The first sign that that person really can recover is for that individual to accept that he or she is an alcoholic. Then we try to get to the nitty-gritty issues that are involved. So in this case, you have an immigration problem, come out, get a consultation, seek help, seek counsel. And it doesn't mean that I only need to deal with Christians. When you come into my office, I'm not going to ask you if you're a Christian a Christian or Muslim. All I want to know is, do you want help? And you come in, you want help. And I am in a position where I can do my best to make sure that I help you. Yeah. But I would say, don't hide behind the doors. Don't try to be under the carpet. Don't do anything illegal.
Honest, right?
Be honest. Come out. Come clean. And let's see what we can do to help you.
Wow, that's powerful. And so just last few words of encouragement to anyone out there, and you can speak your heart too.
Yes. What I would say is, if you're out there, I was not born here. And today I can say, through the grace of God, I'm here. But don't think that it's the end of the world. Especially with the pandemic today, a lot of people have had to stay home. They've lost their jobs. They can't do a lot of things. I would say, do not give up. Don't go into depression. Don't let your situation just go ahead and swallow you up. There is still light at the end of the tunnel. There are individuals like me that are out there willing and able to help. We may not be there to hold you by the hand every second of the day, but you can reach out for help and see what will happen.
Wow, so beautifully said. I was getting really emotional there. Thank you. Again, attorney, thank you so much. This means a lot to me, and I thank God for your life, and I pray that you continue to see greater things.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you, and thanks for having me.
Thank you. Well, thank you for joining me today on Soul Talk with Wura. It's been a wonderful time just spending time to speak with attorney Adebimpe Jafojo. So as she mentioned, please make sure you go follow her. If you have questions, definitely visit her website or give them a call. Again, like I always say, make sure that you hit the subscribe button and also the notification bell that alerts you when we have a show, the next show has been uploaded. Again, continue to live soulfully and know that you are very important. Remain blessed. This is Wura Grant.